Okay, thanks, Dale. And I would ask members of the executive board, trustees, and associates, please to stand just so that if people have questions about the foundation, that you can have folks to talk to. So, and again, thank you for all the work of this group. Okay, my name's Doug Plasencia. I'm with Michael Baker, and I chair for the foundation the events committee. And I've had the privilege of helping to organize the last three, this being the fourth, Gilbert F. White Policy Forum. Just out of curiosity, can we have a show of hands in terms of those who this is your first time attending a forum? Just a show of hands. Okay, which as we pull these together, we not only are trying to look for a very broad discipline cross-section, but we also want to make sure we're getting some new blood into the room as well as the discussion moves forward. I think throughout this morning, Diane cautioned us about 9 a.m. starts. Larry and I are old Midwest boys. We said 7 o'clock sounded good to us, but we expect we'll see a few more folks showing up as the morning goes on here. But and during the day, we'll be about 80 or 90 folks roughly throughout the next day and a half. For those who have attended past forums, there's going to be something a little bit different this time. Normally we've gone a day and a half, we've done the report outs, we've done the sessions, but we've added, because of what's happened with Superstorm Sandy, what's happened in other policy areas, we've added a half day on Wednesday afternoon where we are going to be doing a more public report out of this event. This is a closed event. Everyone in this room is an invited guest. We've opened it up for the public tomorrow afternoon. And so we will be having Nancy Sutley, chair of CEQ, who will be making some comments. We'll be doing some Q&A. We will be providing the recommendations of this body in terms of where we need to be going with coastal sustainability. And then we'll have a roundtable session. We're hoping by doing this that we can get some initial and immediate visibility on this topic as we move forward. So I think it's going to be a busy and exciting 2 days, and I thank you for all of you being here this morning. In terms of this event, it was about 3 years ago that those of us who were at the RIST Forum were meeting over at George Washington across the river and talking about the topic of RIST. And then it was not much more than 3 months later when Scott Edelman, the president, was saying, what's the next one going to be? And so we started talking literally 2.5 years ago about what this event should be. And the reason why I'm making that point is that this was not a Johnny-come-lately type topic in terms of what we were thinking was important because of what happened last summer with last summer's hurricane events. This is something we've been deliberating on for a good 2.5 years, and frankly, Margaret Davison at the NASMA conference buttonholed me and just really says, no, we've got to do a coastal topic. And at that point in time, I began to see where the support could come from in terms of how we line this up, and that's why we're here today. So I think the first impression I want to leave with everybody is that as we're talking over the next day and a half, as we're talking over the next 2 days, this is a serious policy concern that's long-term. It's been with us for a while, and frankly, we just got pretty darn lucky because of the fact the stars have aligned in terms of this policy debate today we're having with the forum and real-world events, and we're at the cusp of being able to make a difference in terms of our recommendations coming forward. In terms of the title of the venue itself, or title of the event itself, I'll read the full title. It's Human Adjustments in Coasts, Adaptive Management of Changing Hazards, Risk, and Ecosystems. Again, what we're trying to accomplish with this forum are several things. One is the co-equal objectives of floodplain management and coastal management, that it is both about the human condition in terms of risk, but it's also about the ecological condition, and we need to bring this policy aligned together in a way where it is aligned. The second thing is the start of the title, Human Adjustments in Coasts. Tying back to Gilbert's dissertation in 1942, Human Adjustments to Floods, we sincerely have believed, and what we've tried to push with each and every forum we've done, is tying to the topic of human adjustments. At 2 forums ago, Floodplain Management 2050, we actually brought forth 2 contemporary adjustments that perhaps were not on Gilbert's minds in 1942. And so, for example, those might be the area of the fact that if you look at some of our vulnerability in terms of today versus 1942, the notion of having distributed just-in-time manufacturing, distributed just-in-time communications, the coordination of that, frankly, the impacts go well beyond any community. It could have international impact in terms of having an event within certain locations in certain areas. Again, a very different area, something we need to be thinking about for the future. Again, with this forum, it would be our hope that perhaps something would rise to the occasion that would say, you know what, because of contemporary issues or because of what we know in terms of either science or policy, we need to be adding another adjustment factor for the future, continuing that body of work. Well, you didn't come here to hear me talk about the warm-up and trying to get folks here. What I'd like to do is move fairly quickly into our plenary speakers. Now again, the design of this event is going to be plenary speakers to get us thinking. I think all of you should have had an opportunity to at least get the papers. Hopefully you've read the papers. But the bulk of this forum is about the people in this room. It's about the breakout sessions. It's about the recommendations that you bring forth and as we start to pull out as a body. But again, what we're going to be talking about today for the next hour or so is start the dialogue, start to get the juices flowing. And with that, we'll go ahead and move into our plenary speakers. And our first speaker is going to be Larry Larson. Now, Larry is a relatively new guy to this field. I'm not sure if you've met him before, but Larry is a founding member of ASFPM. He was the long-term executive director of ASFPM, and just recently in the last year has become director emeritus of ASFPM, having Chad Berginnis become the new executive director of the organization. But Larry brings a body of work of over 50 years in water resources, much of that in flood policy, and I think Larry has been a true visionary and has, frankly, someone many of us can call a true friend. And with that, I would like to open the session for Larry.